Sweet. Howdy, everyone. Welcome to the Money Store. I'm good. I'm here with my good friend Julian over in California. And yeah, Julian, nice to have you here, man. Always great to talk to you.
Nice to see you, man. Excited. Just chilling, having a.
Yes, for sure. And so, yeah, this is something I didn't say in the previous video, but for those of you, yeah, the normal spiel of, be sure to like, comment, subscribe to this stuff. Convince the YouTube algorithm that the conversations being had here are legitimate and appreciated, and we're not fucking like talking doo-doo like Kakazuki is something that I read recently. All these stupid, all these, just I
Kakasuki.
we yeah, we do this for these people, man. Like, we do this for these people because we're trying to uplift the community, man. Like, we're trying to uplift the community. We don't want these people like bogging themselves down in this very stupid cause with um just these people have this idea that this fat Mexican has magic powers. Like, it boils down to that, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad that we can do this. This is really important, and we're just gonna we have some direction that we're gonna go in, but otherwise but otherwise we're just gonna sort of still play it by ear. And so I don't know, do you have anything else to add to that, Julian?
Yeah, what's it called? Every time we make a video, we always you'll hit me up, I'll hit you up, and we're like, man, we should just make more content. We should have said this, we should have said that. So I think it's just very helpful for a
Hmm.
lot of people because a lot of people are still going through. I was telling you, a lot of people are still going through the confusion stage, the part where they're like they don't know what to think. So I think it's good because anything that every time I make these videos, just new stuff pops out, right? Like just stuff that we went through in the past, or like when we were like leaving the cult mentally. So I don't know. I just think it's just very helpful.
Yeah, for sure. I was saying that so yeah, to add a little more to that, we do this because we're just young dudes that at one point we're grew up in the community, and we're trying, and then eventually we started having a mind of our own, and we broke out of it, and we started diving into all the information that we were told that we didn't need, and that wasn't out there, and that if you even touch it or get close to it, you're committing the greatest sin against God. um but no, we're here to sort of let people know that, yeah, you can stop going to church for like 2+ years and you'll be fine. And yeah, the community is going to do horrible things to you, like shunning you and not talking to you and probably talking shit and gossip and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, like, being in the position that we are in, we are much we'd rather like be here than inside of the church, still locked in with the mental chains around our brains. But yeah, this stuff is important, and like we had said in previous videos, this sort of stuff that we were saying, I wish I had this. I wish someone had like stopped me in school and just fucking like talked to me, talk some
Yeah.
sense into me. um and yeah, it's also important to have these conversations out there because it's in English, and we put it up on YouTube, and it sort of clogs the information feed. People can look up Nason or whatever, and they can find us, and they can also find the bullshit too. um and yeah, I guess we'll start with this. This is something I told you about since our last conversation a little bit, but since our last conversation, um people hit me up, hit you up every once in a while, for sure, after the conversations. But I want to note one particular very interesting one, because after our last conversation, someone hit me up who's in the US and has been part of the church for just a little bit, not a lot of time. And this was the first church they had ever gone to. And basically they sent me a message, like asking me like, hey man, I saw your video, and um I had some questions, and I was wondering like, what's the stuff that you're talking about. We exchanged some more emails. I was just sort of sussing them out to see who they were and see, if they were
Right.
legitimate, or someone who was trying to like troll me, or uh you know bringing a Trojan horse into my DMs. But no, dude, like eventually, like 2 days later, I spoke to this person for like 3 hours, and this person was like fresh in the doubts, like they didn't know a lot of things. And for me, it was a cool moment to just like spill it all out on them. And this person like basically stopped going to church, and they stopped giving their money, and they were involved to some extent, but now they've, you know, it's completely flipped in their head. And you know, I'm really happy that they got to hear both of us talk about it, and that they reached out to at least me. And then like I just fucking like I just, you know, just blew the lid open for them, like just Pandora's box for
Oh
them. That
yeah.
was, yeah, that was really special, and I was glad to get to do that. And yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. I think that there's a lot of people in that position where they just need that extra, a little push or that extra little, like little, feel of like comfort of, what you're thinking, why what you're doubting and thinking or your questions. There, it's perfectly normal because you're a human being, right? But being surrounded by people who are doing the opposite of that, who are in this like little, I don't want to be mean, but like in this just like zombie type of, environment, when they come across you and they can relate to you because of you know you had the same doubts, you had the same questions. So sometimes it's just very helpful, and I'm sure there's a lot of people with in that same situation.
Mhm.
So that's very glad to hear. And
Yeah, for sure.
you were that person, like you said, you were that, you wish you had someone making these videos, or now you are being that for people, especially for this person who hit you up, right? So that's
Yeah,
cool.
man. We're trying to uplift the community, man. Like, in La Luz Del Mundo is particularly just a bunch of Latinos, mostly Mexicans, and you
Yeah.
know, a bunch of these people come over to the United States, and there's just a slew of horrible things and discrimination and all that. I get that, um, but like, you know, just for you know, even putting that aside, just any particular group of people that has this very dumb set of ideas. La Luz del Mundo is a set of ideas. One of these ideas is that this fat Mexican named Nason Joaquin has magic powers and can talk to God, and all these other things. Um,
Right.
it's fucking it's dumb to think about it, but like this is where we can, like, you know, intervene and uplift the community and get these people to not um believe these things. One thing I'll say is that, like, you know, La Luz del Mundo, the church people, they take their spirituality very seriously. I totally get that. A lot of people take their spirituality very seriously. You know, at bottom, we can all say that La Luz del Mundo people want to have a connection to God. They want to have some sort of moral, some sort of moral standard to live on.
Yeah.
They want a community to be a part of. They want to feel like they are not sinning and that they are living their lives upright and all that stuff. I totally get that, but and I'm not saying that you can't have that elsewhere. I'm sure you probably can have that, but like here in this group, no. with this family, with this set of people, like, telling you that Nason can talk to the can that Nason can raise the dead, that Nason can divert hurricanes. It's not
Oh
that.
man, yeah.
Yeah, like,
I
you just
think
come on, like, you can have your spirituality and your religiosity and relationships with Jesus and all that stuff, but like, it's not going to be here, man. And the more that people are in it, is the more they make it seem like it's okay to be in it, and it's absolutely, like, not okay to be in it.
yeah, I think that I think also a big, a big reason why the members, it's hard for them to like analyze or find like and make a balance inside of this church is because I get the point that the church does teach you good things just like any other religion would, you know. They do teach good things as far as like keeping it in the normal section, right?
Hmm.
But I think at some point every member did come across like in their whole career in La Luz del Mundo, and I can almost say 100% every member comes across something that they hear about in the church that is just kind of weird, um just things that just you don't you don't think it's okay, but you kind of force yourself to just accept it. Like one thing to me was I would always I would just always like I get the point where like we have to be the church, go every day, 3 times a day. Even that was hard for me to just like accept it. And
Hmm.
then not only that, but to like give this guy money on his birthday, things like that, things that just it's like, why do you have to give this guy money on his birthday? And just a bunch of things that I know a lot of members probably question themselves, but they just kind of let it go or just kind of just forget about it because everyone else is doing it, you know? And
Mhm.
everyone who has those kind of like little glitch, I like to call them glitches because I think every person has like their own brain, right? And you feel when things are not okay or just weird, and why not just say pause it for a bit and just kind of say, hey, well, why do we have to do this? And do your own research and kind of just do
Mhm.
your own, put your own state of mind into it. Don't be persuaded by everyone doing the exact same thing, and that's one thing that a lot of members don't do. They all want to just be part of the group. They move like in big piles of groups because if you have a person having his own opinion or getting up in the dominical and saying, hey brother, you know what, I think this is kind of like, they don't let you do that. If you have
They
questions
don't.
or
They
doubts,
don't.
they want you to talk in the back or in the shadows, or I don't want to say in the
Hmm.
shadows, but like in the office where no members can see that. Because if they allow that, all the members who feel the same way but didn't speak up, they would be like, you know what, see, I knew I wasn't the only one. I know this
Hmm.
member had, this is weird, or why have to give this money, or why did we do that, or why did we do this? But they don't
Hmm.
allow that. They don't let the members see that. So I think us making these videos is perfect because we can, you know, we can be like that outlet for a lot of members who have all these questions, right? But they can't speak out. They can't speak up. They're too embarrassed, too scared. They have all this like, what are the members gonna say about me or think of me? Like, I remember in the Dominicales when there was like ofrenda especial or whatever,
Yeah.
it got to the point where like nobody wanted to give money, bro. Everybody was just going through something, and the minister literally had to like bring out a sheet of paper and had all our names down, and he would go from number one, hermano, blah 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 blah. How much are you gonna give today? Hermano number two, and he would put us on blast because you know um the the old way wasn't working anymore, you know. So he would have to come with this like new idea of pressure. That's how I seen it, to like put you in front of people
It
and
is
and
that. It is that. It is
yeah,
pressure.
and
These are
it's just
pressure
like
tactics. Yeah.
I was like, whoa, like at first I had the glitch, like that's not okay. But then I forced myself, you go back to the, forcing yourself mind way of like, no, but he was sent from the apostles, so even though he looks weird, this is the correct way because my flesh doesn't want to accept this, but you know what? It's a spiritual thing, and I just have to pray to God to give me more understanding. And that happens every time, dude. How many times have you not heard that when a member is going through some shit, and then sorry my language, but
No,
and
yeah.
then
Go for
and
it.
they just tell you just pray to God to give you understanding, and that's the lie. That's just you forcing yourself and forcing yourself until you just fucking accept it, and that's what's like wrong.
Hmm. For sure. Well, there's this one. Well, yeah, I was gonna say there's this one thing I typed once where I wrote that La Luz del Mundo is in an abusive relationship with its father, with its spiritual father, with Nason, and the abusive relationship is that the dude is gaslighting you all the time, through his ministers, through his churches, and through the sort of setup of everything. And what's
Mhm.
the abusive relationship? Well, like in terms of the arrest right now, is the dude is completely denying you information, telling you to deny yourself information, telling you that it's good to deny yourself information because you got to guard your soul, telling you that all those people that are trying to supposedly help you, AJ sending you mail, AJ sending you emails, AJ's posting stuff on the stuff on YouTube, Julian speaking his stuff, just all that stuff. They're telling you that all this stuff is meant to that they're not trying to help you. They're trying to harm you. They're trying to keep you away from me. They're trying to keep you away from the glories of heaven that you're going to be promised. And hey man, just hang in there for me. Just hang in there for me. Keep uh don't mind the fact that I have all these lawyers. Keep don't mind the fact that Univision has this documentary out on me. Don't just all that crap, man. He's just gaslighting y'all. Like he's fucking abusing y'all. Like
Yeah,
he's just he's straight up abusing y'all, making y'all feel bad for not giving money, giving you all these Bible verses for not giving money, giving whole sermons for because y'all won't give money. Uh, that bit about you saying where the pressure tactic come in where the minister was up at the podium just sort of giving names and like logging
Yeah,
down like, hey man, make your commitment right now, stand up and make the commitment. I think I've seen that. I'm pretty sure I've seen that. If not that, at the very least, a lot of people can report, including myself, that I've seen it where at some point there's like some sort of big donation after like a New Year's party, not a New Year's party, but a New Year's celebration or something. And I've seen lists in the back of the church, in the lobby, like right by the door, right where everyone or pretty much most people exit. There's a list of how much a particular family or a particular person gave, and I don't know if it was rank ordered or anything, but like, come on, bro, come on, you just come on, no, like that.
yeah, dude.
That's fucking ridiculous, man, ridiculous.
It's it's
And yeah, go on.
it's crazy how they've made like when I joined the church, bro. It was more like I thought it was like like any other church, like serving God or whatever things that you could imagine in a normal church.
Hmm.
But the longer you stay in this church, it slowly, and you don't see it in a way because they're so good at manipulating into like that serving God. But it's literally just a business. If you're either selling tamales, you're either doing flowers, you're either finding ways to find an event so you can go sell tacos or sell whatever, you know?
Hmm.
Every Sunday after every after Sunday school, um, there's groups, and every group has to like make their own they come up with their own food. We have to put in the money and then we have to sell the food, and then that food, that all that money that's been generated, it just goes back into their into their treasury or whatever. And then not only that, but every Sunday, there's like different groups. Like in our church we had like four different groups. And you know what's crazy is that all the groups will always be at war. Like we were like so into it that we wanted to like stand out next week to be better than the other group. Like we were like in competition. And
Yeah.
the minister would tell us, you guys should be in competition. He would hype us up. You guys should be in competition. If they did this, you guys should come out a better way to make it even better. And then he would
Hmm.
tell us, not in a mean way or that you hate your brother, but take that as a in a spiritual way to serve God better. Let that motivate you more to serve God better. And I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, this guy's just literally like he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Like you're literally just pumping us up to be a really good salesman to just make money. It's all a machine that generates money in any
Mhm.
way, in any way.
Yeah, you're out in California, and I grew up in Houston, and so Houston is pretty much one of the bigger churches in all of the United States. And like you
Yeah,
said that you guys had like four groups. We had several groups. I'm sure like more than a dozen, but and it went down to like holiness of a particular age, then like the older holiness, then yeah, I don't know if he had too much. I don't remember hearing any like competitive talk like that, but I know for sure that the Hovinist, the males, the men, weren't assigned to sell food as often as other groups, like the older women or the elderly women that are unmarried. And I say that because these people, because obviously our cooking sucked, and we were just gonna make fucking like hot dogs and shit, but still, but like nevertheless, it's hey, are you going to come over and participate with the sale of food? And they're just selling the food to you. Like how
yeah,
different is the food being sold outside of church from the ofrenda that you're giving? Well, the ofrenda is like you're not getting any food, but like over
yeah,
here you get a hot dog or something. But still, it's just like go and give your tax over there. Come outside, hang out. You smell the food. Okay, give your tax here. And by the way, the person that is, yeah, the person that's making the food is obviously paying for it. They put in the
yeah,
labor. They gather all those funds. They send them over to the church. Another thing that in Houston, dude, when Antonio Gaona came over in like 2015, 16, 17, 18, somewhere there in those years, in those late to mid uh, teen years of the 2000s, this man like the festivales that we would have like amped up to like once a month. I don't remember how frequent they were prior, but at some point they became like once a month. How many people driving past the freeway on Highway 59 actually stopped to buy food? Some amount, a tiny a bit amount, but still, the point was that like the main clientele was other members, and this was just members hanging out with each other all day long on
Yeah.
a weekend, just selling food to each other. And
Yep.
last thing I'll say, at some point there was just a bunch of fucking raffles, bro. Like they were just like
Oh
they were just
yeah.
coming up with all these different ways, and if not raffles, then like fucking just little like party games, like where you, I don't know, so someone sits up on a in like a one of those dunk things and one of those dunk tanks, someone sits on a little chair and then someone pays for balls to throw at something at a target, and then like the person falls in the water, and yeah, that's entertaining, I get that, but like they were just coming up with all these different ways to just fucking extract money out of y'all. And that's just like local, you know. I don't, it goes on and on, but yeah,
I,
go on.
one thing that you remind me of was I remember one time the hermano, the minister, I think his name was Mario. It was he was there right before they sent Alondra Campos' brother. His
Hmm.
name was Mario, but anyways, one time he was so upset, bro, and it was after the Sunday school, and then this guy was just on fire, bro, and he's like, if you don't like the food that the brothers are serving you, he's like, go at least pay for your plate. You don't have to eat the food, but go pay for it, and then you can go and eat out if you want with your family, but you have to contribute to the blessings. And I was like, that was weird, bro. Like, how you just literally forcing us? Like, you literally just want the money,
Hmm.
you know? But for some reason, the La Luz del Mundo is so good at making the members feel like you have to, like it's part of your salvation, like whatever, you know, like it's just an obligation you have to, and it's like buying your way into heaven at that point. Also, now that you mentioned how they do raffles, over here in California, a few, I don't know how many times a year, but I know for sure they always make this like big old like a it's like a celebration of I don't know what, but what it is in Redlands in the ranch,
Hmm.
they make a bunch of food stands. All the churches in the area, right? Us, all LA and whatever, everyone from the area, people from up north, they all have to go, and every church has to have a food stand, some type of stand. And dude, and this place is huge, right? And they have stands everywhere, dude. And they're all
Yeah,
from church, and all the members have to go there invited. It's like a super big, it looks like a flea market, right? And everybody's just
yeah,
going
yeah.
to stands, buying food. They have the raffles, they have everything. They're just, bro, like a massive, just money making, like a cell, like a she's huge, right? Um, and yeah, and it's at his ranch, bro. And think about it. Now that I think about it, I think that's like that's illegal to have all these like types of money generating puestos or whatever. Like I don't know, I'm not so
Hmm.
familiar with like getting taxed, like government and all that stuff, but like I wonder if like they report any of that money to the IRS or it's just crazy, dude.
Yeah,
Crazy. And
they're not reporting that bullshit.
I remember
Uh-uh.
the on the last
They're not.
day, these guys come with the bag, right? And they just have to
Yeah.
drop all the money in there, bro. And that was it. And we have to come up with the money to put whatever we're gonna sell. Like that comes from the members, you know. It's just wild, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, so what you're describing, it sounds exactly like the festivales, except you guys are doing it in like a ranch. We literally had we had a big ass parking lot. So the Houston church is like right alongside Highway 59. I think it's Interstate 69, whatever, 59, 69.
Yeah.
Um, two different numbers for the same thing. But yeah, we had the church right there, and we have a big parking lot right next to it. My first, anyways, I'm not gonna get into that, but yeah, we would have the festivales right there. Anybody who's driving down this freeway can see it, and so maybe they get off and they're curious and they go in to buy food, but no, most of the clientele is a bunch of church members, and it's the different grupos that are selling to each
Yeah.
other. And sometimes there's probably like a location elsewhere in Houston that comes over and has their own little thing. But yeah, they're just selling food to each other. They're not reporting that shit in like the taxes or anything for sure, because it's all cash. It's all cash. But
Yeah.
then that aside, for sure we had health inspectors come over, and I remember um at least one time where I saw a particular hermana or hermano who was there on duty to make sure that if the health inspector did come over, then then you monitor them, not monitor them, but like uh chaperone them around, be the guide around. And I
Yeah.
bring that up because yeah, that they were doing that. Cool, I wasn't getting sick from the food, but like, come on, these people are not fucking paying taxes with this. They're not reporting any of that crap. And then like, just apart from everything, bro, it's just straight up just extraction of your free labor, man. Dude,
Yeah.
so many like
Sad.
nice. It's a bunch of fantastic food. I love it, man. The pupusas went hard. The freaking
Oh yeah.
huarachas, all that stuff went so hard, so hard. These people are amazing. um but like they're just taking money out of y'all, man. And I feel bad because people's finances and people's way of life and all that stuff is kind of like none of my business. But it's a bunch of Mexican people that are just kind of just like wasting their day there, like helping the church. I get that, but like, man, yeah, you could be like going to like go actually make some money on your weekend day, or like spending it with your family apart from all this stuff.
I know.
um
I hated that. The
like
fact that
building something up like that, and just it's
you're there
terrible.
Monday through Friday, 3 times a day, every day, and then Sunday, you want to just kind of take the day, but you can't. You're there. It's like the main day. And
Hmm.
I know members like, okay, I get it. You want to serve God and you're loyal, but at some point, bro, you kind
Hmm.
of just want to have like your own space, and you can't, dude. Like they're there. You can't even leave town. You have to ask permission. Can I go to the next town? Can I go just go? It's just so weird. Now that I'm out, I see everything like. But anyways, I think I'm excited to like start the topic. We haven't even
Let me say two more things.
go for it.
When you were saying how they were trying to make people feel bad, like inside of the church, they were already talking about like the money that's going to be churning out outside, right? Like they would talk about
Oh yeah,
making you feel bad to go to.
they always compare us to other churches.
Hmm.
Like we're the this or we're that. I remember one time for even baptisms, brother Jack Freeman, he went to this like big old place. I don't know where. I think it was up north and in California, and all the churches had like people getting baptized, and we didn't have no one, bro. And he was just there. And I remember he got back to the church, to the Sunday school, and all the members were just like they're pumped up, and he was like, we have so many baptisms, and all the church went wild, bro, like gloria cristo, and you know what he did? He was so mad, bro. He was like, shh, no, 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 like that's not what like he was like, no, 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 because we didn't have one person get baptized from our church, so no, no, we don't get to celebrate. And I was just like, what? Oh, this is weird. So I'm like, at one point, I was like, well, the brothers are happy because there's people going into this cult, but then
Hmm.
we shouldn't be happy because we didn't even get to be in the competition, or like we were just like not there. And that's because, of course not, bro. You have us always just generating so much money that the brothers are exhausted. They don't have time to still go and walk and knock on. It's like do it's just like weird. Like you want us to, you have to really be full time 24/7 to really be able to fulfill all your duties in La Luz del Mundo. It's impossible. It's
Hmm.
impossible.
Hmm. um well, one another thing I was going to say is that, yeah, they make you feel bad. And I remember at one point, I remember hearing this once, that like, hey, yeah, you should be eating the food outside because whatever, it generates money for the church and all that. But I heard
Yeah.
this phrase once. It was like, esa comida es hecha por manos santas. That food
Oh
is
my
made by holy
God.
hands. Like, it just tastes good, man. Just leave it at that. Like, you don't gotta bring
Yeah.
in the nice old lady's hands and telling me that they're holy and all that crap, right? Because she's fucking serving me like diabetes on a plate, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll say is that like, uh they'd also make you, like, if there was a festival, they'd make you, I'm pretty sure I've heard this in a sermon, they'd make you feel bad if you left church and you didn't eat there and you went to go to Olive Garden or something like that. um all that stuff. Oh,
Which is
last thing I'll say about the festivals and all that, that's also, a place where community happens. You know, you're there hanging out with all the church members, and you're not there sitting down silent, all singing the same songs, all at the same tune, or anything like that. There you're hanging out and you're estás conviviendo. You know, you're living. You know, you're living and you're sharing meals with all these people that you're in church with. You know, I get that.
Yeah.
There's value in that, but like, but still, man, like just the grant, y'all can do that. Shit, y'all can do that for free. Like, yeah, y'all can do that not for free. Y'all can do that in a different context for y'all selves without having to have this church hovering over y'all, vacuuming the money out. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are like some
Now that
things
you
that I want to
mentioned,
say.
like they were so aggressive with members wanting to go out and eat somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
But then when ministros come, when ministros visit, they find brothers to take them, the ministers, right? They'll find a brother.
Hmm.
They'll go and choose someone to go and take the ministers to go eat at a fine restaurant, bro. But yet we're not allowed to. You know, it's just it's stupid. That's so stupid. And I remember hermano Mario, yeah, Mario. I think Mario Gomez. He would tell the brothers, and don't take them to no McDonald's. Like take them to a really nice restaurant. And I
Hmm.
was just like, when we're not allowed to like go and eat nice places. Like you literally force us to stay here and eat this food, which is fine. I'm not. It's not that it's wrong, but it's wrong when you don't allow us to. Like, where's the free will? It's just stupid, bro. It's so stupid. Makes no sense. I think it's just
Bro,
ridiculous.
I'm glad we talked about this just because it's a thing, you know, it's an aspect of it, and it's not an aspect for all the people in La Luz del Mundo because people go to particular churches that where like there's only 30 people, and that's not too much like extra church stuff can happen, in the way that it can with a bigger place. But
Yeah,
I don't know, man. That's a thing.
just
I'm glad we brought this up and we got into like money and these other little particular tactics that they have for this stuff, bro. It's stupid, man. Like these people, come on, man. Like just I don't know. Yeah, I think we can. Do you want to move on to our sort of topic
yeah,
now?
sure. If you
Yeah,
want to
go
make
for it.
like an introduction
Yeah,
first,
so
or
so the idea that I think we had was talking about how we were going to discuss just the particular moments where we started to get out, where we first started doubting it. Did I get that right? Or
yeah,
what was your idea of it?
yeah. I remember why I messaged you, right, and I DM'd you, and I was like, you know what, AJ, like, I don't think we've ever even like out of all the videos that we've made in your
Hmm.
channel, I don't think we've ever like in detail talked about like what made us what were the things, or what were we going through when we first started to like doubt and really break off from the cult. I remember you saying you had left mentally like way before Nason, right? So
Yeah.
I'm very actually curious to see like what made you,
Hmm.
what got you into thinking, because I know it wasn't his arrest, and that's great. For a lot of people,
Hmm.
that's what it took. For me, that's what it took. But anyways, yeah, I was telling you like it's important to like bring this up and give in detail what was going through our heads and what made us kind of like start doubting or having questions, because a lot of people, especially at the time now where the case is Nason 3 years later, he's still locked up. I think there's way more people now in doubt or asking questions or wondering, yo, like, so what's really going on? um so yeah, I wanted to
Hmm.
basically just kind of share my story of
Yeah, for sure.
what was I doing at the time when this whole thing happened, and how was the process like for me and for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Do you want to start or do I start? I'm not sure how you want
um,
to do it.
we can rock paper scissors. Nah, I'm
We
just
can rock
kidding.
paper scissors it.
Nah,
So we can go back and forth. So for me, basically, I was for sure. We can start with me. Like very quickly, I can say that I for sure was grew up in the church, was in it the whole time. I went through the normal steps of the baptism and all that, and receiving the Holy Spirit and being presented all by the age of 14, 15. Um, and I guess my first real doubts like started happening in like college because it was I started going to the University of Houston, and I was like on the other side of town, and I was still living with my parents and stuff. I was still under the supervision and everything, but for me it was a particular experience, like getting into college and getting into having that material, having like something like history like fed to me in a way different than from the standard Texas high school curriculum. Um, and so for me, it was cool where I was going to like lecture halls, and there was like 500 people, like a whole dominical, in this lecture hall, listening to something, um, maybe like really horrific, or just that did not paint this country in the best light, and which is like basically every history lesson that you can think of. And I don't know, for me, it was something very particular where I was like, wow, man, like all these people are here like educating themselves. And yes, there's a dude up at the front, a professor who's talking one way to you, and but you can get up and you can raise your hand and ask a question. You can get up and retort and maybe say something, and you'll probably look dumb, maybe, because these are people who are like trained and are like peer reviewed, and they have a whole industry and a whole discipline that checks them out and make sure that they know what they're talking about. And
Yeah.
not every historian is the same and all that stuff. I'm just talking about history right now, but like the same applied to like philosophy and all these other classes. And I remember being on this university campus and knowing that I was basically the only La Luz del Mundo person on this campus. And I was thinking to myself, like, I would think things to myself like, dang, I'm pretty special, I'm pretty smart. But like the setup was completely different, from Dominical, where you're like, everyone knows how
Let me
Dominical
just
goes.
pause you there.
Yeah, go for it.
So how I'm like seeing I'm listening to you, right? And I'm like, how cool or how much different would it be if La Luz del Mundo, you can raise your hand, you can say, wait, brother, I think that's wrong, or have that, you can have that free speech or whatever, right? And it's crazy how in La Luz del Mundo they've switched that, and you're not allowed to, if you even dare to. That's just wrong. And that I think that's very important that, yeah, you say that, where you can raise your hand and you can like interact and have this, like, you're free, right? You they count you in, like, I mean, you said you probably look dumb, but who cares? Like, that's what the beauty of it, right? Where you can ask questions. You don't get something, you kind of ask twice, and you don't have that in La Luz del Mundo at all. But continue, go ahead. I just wanted to point that out. I
Yeah,
thought I
yeah,
thought that
that's
was
a
pretty.
that's like it's a marketplace of ideas. Like, in the lecture hall, that's what the fucking university is for, bro. Like, it's like, hey, you came here to get ideas stuffed into your head, and there's probably competing ideas like all over the place. But like the point is that like you get to check them out and weigh them against one another and develop your opinion, and then
Yeah.
um and then you can leave with whatever ideas, and you'll have your ideas challenged there. The thing in La Luz del Mundo that you and I are trying to get at is that that's not what you're gonna get, bro. Like, you're just gonna get a one way. You're just gonna get a one way story, stuff it into your head, move on with your
Yeah.
life, and that's kind of it. And like I said in one of the previous videos that we recorded, I think like back in November, and then I uploaded a clip like a month ago or something like that. But one of my favorite things that I said was like, bro, Nathan, he always has this fucking hype party around him, fucking trumpets, freaking people like holding up flags and standing there, the color guard, and you have a pastor like doing the hype and like trying to get the church all riled up. I was like, there's never a context. This man is ostensibly in charge of our salvation, right? There's never a context where he's in the front of the church and there's not all this freaking ruckus around, and we can all take turns like asking him questions, like,
Bro,
just
yeah.
line up to a little microphone, go up there and say, hey, um hey, just that, I was chilling last week reading with my brothers, and we came across this little chapter, and like, hey man, can you read this? Can you clarify it for us? Or like, or
Yeah,
or
exactly, bro. That's what I'm
never,
talking
man,
about.
never, man. And it's ridiculous, bro. Like, now that I think about it, it's freaking enraging, man. Like, that's how La Luz del Mundo can agree that there's a bunch of other stupid communities out there like Scientology. I'm like, bro, this is how you guys can clearly set yourself apart from all these other groups that you can very justifiably get lumped into or looked way too close to, like Scientology or Nexium or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, there's never a freaking venue where this dude is up at the front and he's kind of like, like a presidential candidate. He's trying to like convince you and make you like him and all that stuff, like where he just takes questions, but that never happens. And the more that I think about that, it's freaking enraging, man, because instead the story is like, uh, the setting for one is like the dude's logo plastered all over the place, like it's, dude, and what other like it's a freaking university. Like that's it's just cringy. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just yeah. That's one thing I
How
wanted
I see it is
to talk
like
about. Go on.
Nason is supposed to be a Sunday school. A school is where the teacher and the students interact, they answer questions, they clarify things. In La Luz del Mundo, it's not that. So don't call it a Sunday school. Second point is Nason is just really reading. He's practically reading a teleprompter, bro. He's just reading what is in his freaking paper. And if you were to have, like you say, like an actual question, like clarify this, clarify that. Hey, what about this? Like, bro, he would be fucking lost because all he has is his transcript, right? His transcript, like his paper with what he has to say, bro. And that would literally throw him off. There's times where he doesn't have that paper where he's just kind of like talking or here, or, as he's walking, and he'll stutter and he'll just mess up what he's saying, and it's ridiculous, it's stupid. And it's like even when he's reading his paper, there's times where he's just like pausing like this, like I got lost. Wait, where was I? And he's trying to find it, and it's just like, dude, I don't know. I thought it was just kind of weird.
Yeah,
But
man.
no, no
It's
one, no one catches that. Why? Because like you said, the trumpets, the flags, people yelling, and all this and that, and that's why they have to do that. I think. Imagine that someone walking up, like a normal person, no yelling, no one's making this big ass, circus. Like people would not feel what they feel. Blessing. It's not a blessing. It's just a hype. All you being fed is just a hype. All this noise, just like any rapper or anyone going up on a stage.
yeah,
If no one wants to go wild or crazy, no one would either. People would just kind of like, you hear like a clap, a cricket, like, and that would really throw people off. No one would feel the blessing. Well, what happened? We didn't feel God's presence today. Like, nah, bro, that's not it.
yeah, man. And
Sorry, go ahead.
that's kind of why they don't want y'all going to concerts like to begin with, bro. Because they know that you'll feel the different. Not necessarily that you'll feel that, but like you will. Like you can one can go to church and Nason's presentation or whatever, and then one can go to a concert and feel the freaking hype around them, or go to like a soccer game and people going crazy and fanatical, and like that's part of the hype, and that gets you pumped up. But like but in La Luz del Mundo, that same sort of environmental um that sort of those sorts of environmental things come upon you, but the way that they teach you to interpret that is to interpret that through like, oh, that's God touching your heart, God's making you feel a particular way.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's ridiculous, man. So yeah, going back to like university, yeah, for sure. In university, I started getting those particular I started having those sorts of particular comparisons between church and then the university setting that I was getting. Another thing that comes to mind for that is that um, I I'm a history student, and I was just reading a bunch of history, and just like it's just a bunch of it, and it's all just all the brutality of slavery just in this country alone, and then just all the brutality of just all these other things. And for me, in my
Right.
head, I was like, I was just learning all these things, and I was like, yeah, all that shit happened. That's never talked about in church, and it's not like they're going to talk about it in church. But the thing is that, like, for me in church, it was just I would walk in and I would feel like completely different from everyone else, because I was like, dang, I saw y'all all last Sunday. Shit, let me tell y'all all the cool shit. Oh, not all the cool shit, but like, let me tell y'all like all the amazing, just super interesting and horrible stuff that I've learned the past week. But here in church, it's like, no, the story, the human history, the human experience is all collapsed. It's all just collapsed into just nascent. And so like what the best example of this to illustrate this is how they always they basically teach you that for the past 2,000 years up until 1926 there was no salvation on this planet. From the times of Jesus, the death of the last apostle, all the way up to the present now, there was no salvation, and there was no nothing like that. That bothered me a lot, because I was reading just books where just so many lives of people that lived their whole life,
It
maybe
mattered. Yeah, they did.
never even thinking about it, and not even close to Christianity. They're probably into some other religion or something. And I was in my head, I was like, damn, dude, these freaking people were like for a particular example is like, man, these people were like enslaved and this and this and this and this, and like I'm like, they must have had some sort of connection with God. I'm like, you telling me these people that had these horrific lives on this planet, they're still burning in hell. like they like they're no choice, like they're no freaking fault of their own. They're just
Yeah.
they had horrific lives uh
You know what I
then,
thought
and then
about?
they're just burning now like that.
Yeah, I
That
thought
really
about.
pissed me off, and I never knew how to exactly to word it. I never really worded
Yeah.
it to anyone, but it was in the back of my head every time. Yeah, go on.
No, yeah, I think dude, that's so cool you mentioned it. Like, so many events have happened, like presidents, George Washington, just, and that's just here, like in the United States, but like other countries where important events have happened. People that done like things that, like electricity, Edison, whatever, just stuff that's happened, and like you get to La Luz del Mundo, and it's like, oh yeah, they all went to hell. They all went to hell, and it's just kind of weird, right? They just shut everything down, like how you say they collapsed the whole past. Now it's just Nason, and it's
Mhm.
just, yeah. I think if you're right, if all the members were just like, you know, if they just knew just life events, stuff that's happened, if they were just more informed in life in general, the world, whatever, that would even get them to like feel a certain type of way of like life itself in general, you
Mhm.
know. But the fact that there's just so limited uh with resources, especially like my parents, you know, came from Mexico, and they don't really
Yeah.
know how to use like even a phone yet correctly. And
Mhm.
and I'm not saying this to be me, but it's just, it goes back to like, you know, this is why, you know, they get this type of people, because it's hard for them to like explore, you know what I mean, or get information out, and it's just like, man.
For sure, man. And then the church will like I'll get into this in a bit, but well I don't have to get too much into this, but the church will encourage you to go to the university. They were excited that I was going, but the thing is that like when I was saying that like, oh yeah, I want to major in history, and they're like, okay, cool, cool, you can teach history, and you can do tutoring, maybe, stuff like that, and I appreciated that, and I'd be happy to like help
Yeah.
these other kids of immigrant families, help them, get their education and get into schools and all that stuff. And I actually did that stuff a little bit, like helping people fill out scholarships and all that. I was happy for that, but the point was that like the point I'm trying to get at is that they wanted me going to the university and getting my degrees and all that stuff, but only to the point that it was useful to them, because now that I'm a PhD student, I'm way too educated apparently, and AJ gave into the arguments of the world, and the devil like lured him in with his fucking logic, and I'm like, yeah, it was useful to a point, it was I was useful to them in that context in order
Yeah.
to sort of legitimize getting an education, and now that I flip it on them, now I'm the fucking like spawn of Satan apparently.
And yeah, your point was, you know, university helped you break off from church, um, because you started to really realize all that cool stuff that's happened in the past, where in La Luz del Mundo it's like they all went to hell. And it was just like, to me, I would have been like, that's just hard to believe that all these important people who've done really cool things in life, they just went to hell. Like, they just don't matter. So I think and this is what brought me up to write this down, is I think when members
Mhm.
start to explore and see what's really like out there in the world, right? This evil place, I think they will start to realize information that can be very interesting and educational in a educational standpoint, right? But at the same time, it can go, it can sometimes crash or go against what they've been taught by the church, right? Or their teaching. And
Mhm.
and one way to prove that, bro, is, I don't know if you remember, but when this church first started, La Luz del Mundo, Aaron Joaquin, he didn't allow members to use medicine. I don't know if you heard that before. In the very early years of La Luz del Mundo, they weren't allowed to use medicine. The youth members weren't allowed to go to school, watch TV, and I think slowly they wanted to introduce that to the members. Like, I don't know how they did it, but, oh, you know what? It is okay to watch TV. It is okay
Mm-hmm.
to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason was because imagine, bro, if they still practice those weird ass teachings today, like imagine no one being able to go to school or use medicine or watch TV. Like how weird would they look, right? But I think
Yeah.
at one point, it's a very like in your case, where you broke out. Like I think your mind just expanded, bro, and you weren't in this bubble no more. I think and it didn't take you to like I think what's really cool is that it didn't take you, AJ, to see Nason behind bars. I think to that it really shocked a lot of people's brains, like my brain. It made me kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, snap out of that. Snap out of that. This guy's in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never seen that song behind bars, bro. Like, when I seen him with his face down, it like really just hit me. Like, and I'll get to that when we.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but go ahead, man.
I was, yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Yeah, I would learn about just, I don't know, just for example, like someone like Harry Tubman. I was like, damn, this person's fucking badass. This is literally the fucking most badass person ever. And then, they weren't saying this outright in church, but but in my head, I was like, oh, what's the point of bringing this person up? They're just gonna tell me she went to hell, and or like. Or like just there's a lot of cool people in history that you can read in books, and there's a bunch of shitty people too. But it was cool to think that, like, yeah, this particular dictator or this person who was over leveraging their power, it's cool that they're burning in hell. That's what they deserve. But no, for me, it was just like, no, man, like I was reading about all these cool people doing cool shit, and I was like, you're just gonna tell me they're just straight up going to hell? Like they legit didn't even have the chance to meet meet Nason or whatever. But
Right.
but yeah, and I'm pretty sure I did bring that up at some point. But still, like, no matter what, the answer that you would get for that is like, hey, don't worry about them, worry about you. God gave you the chance. He chose you before the beginning of time, just like he chose Nason to be the leader at some point, since the beginning of time. They would use Jeremias 1:5. That applies to him, that applies to you too. Hey man, don't pay attention to that. Just that's off to the side. That's God's business. You don't have to be, up in that. Just worry about your own salvation. For sure. I knew that. I knew that was the answer, and I'm pretty sure that's the answer that I would get. Um, and uh, what else? Damn, there was more to say. Yeah, Dan, you brought up some other things that I wanted to talk about. Actually, the thing about Aaron, like not allowing people to take certain particular medicines, I haven't heard that particularly, but I'm sure that. But there's
I,
some other things that I could say about it. But I know for sure I had heard about, like, yeah, they couldn't go to university at some point, and only up until the past handful of decades, and maybe whatever that is, whenever that started happening in Mexico or in the U.S., that yeah, people could start going to the university.
yeah.
For sure, that was something that was really important to me. Okay, back to Aaron. Yeah, there's the whole university thing. People not watching TV, I definitely heard about that. But like the
Yeah.
excuse that you'll get for that is that, like, oh well, the church was just starting, and so Aaron had to be really really strict in order to get some traction, and then once the church it starts to expand into a more urban suburban place, like Hermosa Provincia. When that starts, then certain norms start to chip away. But like, still, bro, still, you guys have all these dumb restrictions on women's freaking bodies, how you guys dress them, how you guys make them think about their own bodies. um People have these the restrictions on how the dudes can dress. It's not as bad as women, but that's there too. uh
Yeah.
and then um and then one other thing I was going to say is that, like, I remember in high school, late high school, I turned 17. And so you can start donating blood. I remember I donated blood so I could skip like 3 classes or like 4 classes or something. It was really cool. And I remember I told one of the church girls that went to my school, I was like, hey, yeah, I'm donating blood. And she, for her, she said, oh my God, you can't do that because that's your body or something, and that's sacred, or you can't do that. But I remember going home and, or even before that, I remember asking my mom if I could do it. And my mom told me that, yeah, you could do that. And I was like, but I'm pretty sure I heard that you can't do it because there's some sort of taboo on it. And she said, what if the apostle needed a blood transfusion? We would give it to him, right? But like the point is that, like, there's this confusion, that there's a confusion on it, right? Like, there's a confusion out there for it. And that same sort of confusion applies to, maybe not so much at this point, but for sure in other years, there was a confusion around, like, Halloween. Can you have your little kid dress up as something and then go around asking for candy. If they dress up like the devil, I'm pretty sure the church, the pastor's going to be upset. He doesn't want you doing that. But if you dressed up like Superman, come on, there's nothing too bad about it. And the same thing happens with Christmas. Like we would celebrate Christmas every year, but it was a secular Christmas. Like there was no nativity scene. We were never talking about Jesus. We never had like a little cross or anything. We never had that. Santa came over and we brought gifts and we had Christmas dinner and all of that stuff. But there was no like Christmas in the way that other people think of Christmas, that the world thinks of Christmas. I've heard the same things for Thanksgiving, we're like,
Yeah.
Oh, that's a worldly holiday. They're only thankful on this one day, but we're not. We're thankful every day because we actually know God. And just all this bullshit that people were coming up with, bro. And here's another thing. Bro. So in church, you don't celebrate Easter because no one in church is allowed to claim, that the official teaching is that like no one knows exactly when Jesus died. No one knows exactly what day of the year he was resurrected and stuff. But Easter is about his resurrection and stuff, bro. In Houston, I remember in one of the last couple of years, 2017, 2018, I remember an 18-wheeler came to the church. All the Hovenists came over like a Saturday morning for like a couple hours to unload this thing. And what were we unloading? We were unloading bunny piñatas, like Easter bunny piñatas. And we were unloading them and packing them into the basement of the church because that stuff was going to be sold in a fundraiser around different parts of the city for the church. But the thing is that like we don't celebrate Easter. But
But
we're
they
taking
take that
advantage of the holiday
to make
to
money.
sell the Easter eggs,
Yeah.
to sell the piñatas to people out there in the street. And it's fucking ridiculous, bro. Like so what we were just talking about is just like, yeah, there's sort of like just this dumb confusion that they just have around particular things like that. And
Yeah.
I bring that up because that's like like you were saying, that's like a challenging of the La Luz del Mundo culture, of where the La Luz del Mundo is probably never thinking about freaking Christmas while it's over in Mexico, but once the families start moving over here, they start thinking about Christmas and they start thinking about all these other things that they want to
Yeah.
partake in. And then of course like the young women here in the United States start going to public schools where maybe the grand majority of people aren't La Luz del Mundo, and they're wearing skirts. Like they start wearing skirts at a particular age. So all these people that they were with their whole life, at some point the young women have to start wearing skirts. The girls have to start wearing skirts, and like that isolates them. That fucking isolates them. I saw that with my own eyes. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's like a clashing of cultures, man. And the La Luz Mundo culture is challenged from the outside. The freaking reform that happens, bro, it's never from the inside. If it was up to Aaron, it would still be the same way that it was from like day one, where like no medicine, no contact with the outside world, no university, no TV, no all that stuff. But then like no, the doors have to be kicked in from the outside to change the culture.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of girls can. You know what?
Mhm.
When I was still in, I would always see a bunch of like my wife's friends that like they follow you. Members, or I would just go through her phone. Not like that, like I'm spying on her, but like she would just show me like things, and or just members that and a lot of girls would wear pants. And I would get like, I was like this full blown member, and I was like, why are you wearing pants and this and that? But now that I think about it, like a lot of those, girls that are in church that like they wear the skirts, right? They started going to school, college, and then they start to get comfortable with pants. And I think in their heads, it's like they start to kind of go through this like little, kind of like what you went through, but like not in that high level, but just as far as like in the what to wear type of section. And they just don't feel that it's so evil or bad, and they just they'll start to like experience, they wear pants, they start with like it's only for sports or this or that. But I used to judge that, bro. I used to judge that a lot, dude, and I feel so bad now. and
Yeah.
and I don't, and there's nothing bad in it, if they just understood. I think I did a study on that, as far as like why the back in the biblical times they would wear skirts, why they would cover their heads. And a lot of it's just culture, like that's what those type of women would, that was the dress code for them back in those times. Even men would wear like dresses or whatever. And it's like I don't see that song with the fucking dress, you know like like it's just I don't know, like and Yeah, I remember one time I got so mad at my mom because she dyed her hair, not knowing, not realizing that a lot of the ministros' wives, they all dye their fucking hair. They all paint their hair because they want to hide the canas. Not all of them, but
Yeah.
most of them, they dye their hair, bro. And I wouldn't say, I wouldn't judge that, but I would really get mad at my mom. One time I even made her cry, dude. I would give her like this big old lecture, bro. And but anyways, that's the kind of guy I was. And tomorrow, when we talk about who I was in the church, I think it's pretty cool to say who I was to who I am today. I'm excited for that tomorrow. But go ahead, man.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Um, nah, man. I mean, yeah, for sure. That that's uh, it's good that we're talking about it from our perspective because that's what like ticked us off, and I'm pretty sure that this is stuff that ticks other people off. I remember, speaking of the skirts and whatnot. I remember one time I was working at a grocery store like down the street from my church. I worked there for a long time. Anyways, at one point, I remember working there, and I apparently ran into this church woman. I didn't recognize her. She was in like a nurse's uniform, let's say, so pants, and then like the little nurses, just a nurse's uniform. And I think she said something like "La Paz del Señor" or something, and I was like, "Oh, cool, you're a church person." I didn't say that. I didn't say that. She she on her own accord, she said she probably mentioned something about church, and then she was like, "Yeah, I go to church too." And I was like, "Okay." I didn't see her pants because I was on a different. I was on the other side of the register, but I remember she said she apparently felt the need to tell me, "Oh, I'm wearing pants because I'm a nurse or something." And in my head, I was like, "Okay, cool. Thanks for telling me. I don't really care." But I didn't even recognize her to begin with. I don't really care at that point. But then I bring that up because it's just that's just the pressure. It's just the pressure around like these
Yeah.
particular
Oh yeah.
customs, man. And she felt prompted to have to tell me that, and I was like, I'm not gonna rat on you. I'm not gonna talk shit. But just in case that I was, she told me that. She told me that.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly. I can totally relate. I remember back at church when a group of hermanas, sisters get together and they just go in and talk about, yeah, she was wearing pants or this or that. Like, bro, that's in every church. And this is kind of like weird, it's just weird. That's going into like the sticky parts of La Luz del Mundo, which a lot of people don't want to talk about, but a lot of people can relate. And a lot of people are always fighting and the gossip and like, it's just crazy. But
Hmm.
Um, yeah, well, that's cool. Like I said, I think it's very cool that you were able to, break mentally with university. And the thing is too, like a lot of members have the idea that the reason why people leave church is because they want to go sin, but like or whatever, right? But it's like no, dude. Like a lot of people just kind of like realize that this is a cult, where like, bro, the world is not this evil place that everyone always talks about, and that someone always yells it out. A lot of people are live to because they in church and some point it interferes with their life. People want to go and do cool things, explore, and they just they don't think it's okay to be telling the minister where they're gonna be at when they leave town or whatever. Like people leave for so
Yeah.
many different reasons, but in La Luz del Mundo members, it's always because they're hiding something or they want to go do something, and it's just they're bad. They're bad brothers, and I would feel so bad for them. And
Hmm.
now it's like, nah, bro, like, it's insane.
Hmm. For sure. It yeah, so I guess we could sort of move on to the university, but basically by the last 2 3 years of it, I was mentally out. I was mentally out, but still physically going.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to articulate it. That was hard, having to stay stuck in my head. And so for me personally, by that point I started consuming certain books and listening to certain people, and I became an atheist. I stopped believing in it completely, but still like I was still physically going to this church and pretending like I believed because I knew the consequences of voicing any dissent. Like I knew the consequences, and I'm living through the consequences now. But um, basically, I bring that up because I at some point I literally heard myself start telling people like to people that weren't going to church, and sort of when I was sort of kind of talking about the church to people, and I would tell them things like, "Yeah, man, I don't put my trust in like a man. Like why like how is it that Samuel, I grew up around Samuel, and I just always had a picture of Samuel on the wall or stuff like that. Like how is it that this dude just goes away, and then this other motherfucker comes in, and he's in fucking charge of me. I've never fucking met him. I've never fucking met him. He walks past me once, and like it was just very strange. It was just
Yeah.
very strange to me. And then, but like the way I tried to feel better about it was like, oh well, my parents knew him when he was little, but then like it was like, well, I never met him, like I just guess I just kind of always saw him, but like he just takes it, just takes it like that,
Yeah.
like in the way I guess, there's this industry of buying people's debts from other people, and then it was weird like that. Like I was apparently attached to this person. This person's fucking gone, and then there's just this whole other person who's apparently the most important person in my life. All of a sudden, and his logo is like slapped everywhere, and it was a weird time, like and just a weird way to grieve, like you said in the last time that we spoke, where Samuel died, and then everyone was like really sad, but then all of a sudden they had Nathan, and they were kind of basically telling you like, hey, stop grieving for that dead motherfucker. We have the new dude, like we have the new dude here, you should be happy for him. Here's another last thing I'll say about university and this sort of time in my life is like, another weird thing about it was that, like, not to speak badly about any other young men that I grew up around, but a lot of them weren't maybe so bright and so focused in school in the way that I could be, and that the way that I luckily was. And they were my age, bro, and they instead got sucked up into the church, into the ministry, and they got fucking. I know people in like the Philippines, that were sent to like Equatorial Guinea, who were sent to like Finland, Spain. Just all these places extracted out of Houston, where there's some sort of opportunity to go to university and all that stuff in the United States, and they're just like fucking sucked right back out and sent to these other places to work for free for this dude that supposedly has magic powers. And
Yeah, it's
for
sad.
me that was really strange, and that really hurt me. That like I had this one best friend who was like 3 years older than me, and like on a whim, like he was gone, like he was just out of the community because he had signed up to the obra, and then they called him to go, and he just left. He left and he went, and he'd
That's
come
yeah.
back, and he was a little bit of like a he'd come back, and everyone would say hi, and they were really happy to see him, and like, it's really cool that you're doing what you do over there in Spain or in the Philippines or whatever. But for me, it was just like, it was just strange, because I knew him, and I was like, you've never told me a story where you've actually met Nathan. Like, you've never told me a story where you've actually met Samuel. You're kind of just like me. I could be you and still not meet him. Come on, man. That bothered
Right.
me a lot.